In today's video, we're going to take a look at the shoulder girdle and some of the steps that you can take to help improve tight, sore, or weak shoulders. Firstly, we're going to look at thoracic rotation. A great way to improve thoracic rotation is to come down to the crawling position, dropping your knees out nice and wide and sitting back on your heels to brace your pelvis so you don't get too much twisting. From here, we're going to drop our hands on the ground, putting one hand behind the head and twisting that elbow up to the ceiling and coming all the way back down and opening up. We'll do about 5 reps or so each side. Next, we're going to look at thoracic extension. For this, you're going to need a roller and a box or a wall to put your feet up on. Again, this is to brace the pelvis so you don't get too much movement through there. You're going to give yourself a nice big hug with the roller just below your shoulder blades and working on extending up over the roller, keeping your chin tucked into your chest, and then doing a diagonal as well, so left shoulder down, right shoulder up, and then right shoulder down, so that you start bringing that rotation into the thoracic extension. Next, we're going to look at stability, or the amount of range of motion or mobility that you can control. Firstly, we're going to bring in some rotational stability. You'll need a light band and a pole. You're going to set your elbow up, pointing straight out from your shoulder and turning down towards the ground or pulling towards your midline. We want to make sure that we don't have too much movement this way or this way with the elbow. It is just pivoting on the spot for internal rotation. Next, we're going to set up in exactly the same position, elbow pointing straight out from the shoulder and pulling into external rotation. You want the band to be light enough that as you're hitting this end range, it's not forcing you to come here and then start pulling back. You are still able to pivot on the spot. Once we have good rotational stability, we want to start building in some pulling function into this external rotation control. Grabbing a band with your hands nice and close together and keeping your elbows by your sides. We're going to draw our hands apart as we squeeze our shoulder blades down and back. Something to watch out for with this exercise is that you're not getting too much thoracic extension. What that will look like is a lot of rib cage flaring as you do this exercise. That means you're not getting a lot of shoulder movement out of this, you're just getting the thoracic extension. Keeping your abs nice and tight as you do this and squeezing your shoulder blades down and back is a great way to counteract that. Next, we're going to look at bringing stability into a pushing function. I like to come down to a full kneeling position for this because it engages my core and my glutes better. Going to pick up a kettlebell bottoms up, stacking your forearm nice and vertical and keeping it vertical all the time. Doesn't matter too much if your arm passes out wide or comes in too narrow, as long as this stays nice and vertical. Keeping your shoulder nice and packed, watching the kettlebell, pressing up until your bicep reaches your ear, and then pulling the kettlebell back down. Pressing up. When we hit these top positions, we don't want to elevate the shoulder too much. We want to keep it nice and packed, and coming back down, pressing, pulling back down. Now we're going to look at bringing stability into a pulling function. The most basic version of this is scat pull-ups. 2 arms on the bar, hanging down, relaxing as much as you can, and then doing as much of a pull-up as you can without bending your arms. If this is a little bit easy, we're going to transition to a 1-arm hang. A great way to practice this exercise is to have a band for some assistance. We're going to grab hold of the bar in the center of the band, keeping our elbow a little bit bent or engaged, and holding the top of the scat pull-up with our shoulder. We're going to grab the band nice and close to the hand, and we're going to hold that position, making sure that we do stay facing dead onto the pole. This is going to show good stability and control. If holding the band is really, really easy, you can take up that position, taking your hand off, holding for time, grabbing the band again. If you find that quite easy, we then want to look at controlling some rotation with these movements. Again, setting yourself up in exactly that same position, taking your hand off, and then learning to control as you rotate through these positions, and then coming back and being able to stop at that dead center again. Once we have good mobility and good stability, we then look at improving your strength. This could be your standard push-ups, pull-ups, ring rows exercises in a 5 to 10 rep range is a great way to put on a lot of strength.